my name is Thom Kelly. I'm a PHP developer with Ardmore advertising, so obviously I'm here to talk about Ruby stuff tonight. I'll just sort of run through a quick example of how to deploy a web app using Capistrano. And you really don't need to know anything about Ruby, it is all just configuration, and it's quite easy to set up. So Capistrano is a Ruby app, so you didn't need Ruby on your machine to get it running. And it's used for pulling down and deploying source code from version control, like on GitHub or Bitbucket or something. And then it can also run several tasks, or tasks you need to run on your server after deploying the code, or before deploying the code even. And some of these things might include installing dependencies from package managers like Bar or Composer or whatever you need. Compile CSS with a Grunt or a Compass. Set up application caches if you want to rebuild a service container like with Symfony or something. You can do all that as a task, and we can control services if we need to restart a web server or restart maybe PHP or something. That's just an example. Really, you can do whatever you need to do with it. It's very flexible. So if we're using Capistrano over FTP, we have to know why FTP is bad for these sort of things. Basically, some of the minor things are it's not secure. That is, all your files are transferred in clear text, so any passwords or anything going up or down could potentially be intercepted. It's prone to errors, in that you can forget to upload a file if you're uploading maybe several things, or you maybe forget something, some things go into wrong folders. We can't undo those errors if they do happen. Encourages hotfixes, which means just pulling in a file, changing a few lines, and uploading again, which is bad practice. That code should really be checked into version control and tested, ideally. And all these problems mean that the environments that you have, maybe your staging environments, different web servers can get out of sync really easily and really quickly, and then it's hard to get them back together again. As I said before, you will need Ruby and Ruby gems to get set up. We won't run through that just yet, but the main thing you will need is SSH access to the server, because Capistrano relies on SSH keys for deployment. So to get started, install the Ruby gem first. It is just gem install Capistrano. And then to initialize it in your project, you just navigate to the folder that your project is in and hit cap install. That sets up a few files in your project, which look a bit like this. The cap file is sort of like the project file, where you can include different Ruby modules or different libraries that you may need in your project for the deployment, that is. Deploy.rb is where you can keep all your tasks that you need to run. I'll have a few examples of these later. And then production and staging are what's called your stages. So production would be your live server, your public-facing server, and staging would be, well, your staging server where you can test things before you actually push to production. So, as I said before, it is all configuration. Really don't need to know a lot about Ruby to get started. And a lot of these variables will be in the files that are created when you do the cap install. To set the application, that's just a string for the name. It can be anything you want. The stage, for this example, will be production. That's used in the command. I'm going to deploy, we'll say cap, then the stage name, and deploy. In this case, it will be cap production deploy. Deploy to is simply just the path on the server that it's going to be sent to. And attempter is where it will use for things like composer caches and things like that. Just obviously temp stuff. The next thing I have to set up is where you're actually getting your code from. So you set up a code repo where this one is, but you can use GitHub, your own private one if you want. We tell it that the SCM variable is just to tell we're using Git, and then we can define what branch we want to use as well from that repo. So maybe in production we would use the master branch, but in staging.rb we would say tell it to use a staging branch. And this is where it gets interesting. We need to define what servers we're going to deploy to. So the server, the first part is the server name, which is basically just the domain name that you're going to use, a user that has access to it, and the roles part is used down here when we configure roles. I'm saying right. Okay, so later on we're going to deploy a task or run a task, and we'll tell Capistrano which role we want to use, which is basically saying like this user at this server is going to do this task. Another handy thing we can do is create symlinks automatically. That is, we can push up files to a shared directory, and Capistrano will automatically symlink them for us. So if we had media files, uploads that we're not checking them in anywhere, that we can just use the same files over and over again and not have to worry about them in version control. So when we run cap production deploy, they end up with something like this. The releases folder is just a set of time-stamped folders where the code is pulled into. Every time you do a deploy, it creates a timestamp folder, puts your code into it, and then part of the deploy is that it creates a symlink called current, and that'll be the latest or the most recent timestamped folder. And repo folder is source control stuff, revisions.log. Every time you do a deploy, it'll just write a text log out, and then shared is where our symlinked files and folders live. Current would be when you're setting up your web server, you would point your root directory to current. So every time you do a deploy, you don't need to change the folder. Capistrano changes the symlink for you, and you never need to restart your web server. It's automatically done for you. So I'm going to do a quick example of some of this stuff. I have a vagrant box set up to deploy to, but really the principle is the same if you're deploying to a remote server. It's the same idea. Let's show you that first. So the look at our cap file here first. This is the one, default one that's set up. And these are the default tasks that Capistrano runs through. And then if we look in our config folder, and then to deploy, I created one called vagrant. Here, so that's the command we'll be using, will be cap vagrant deploy. In this case, it just tells you what file to load in. Open that. There's a stage vagrant, there's the path we're going to deploy to, the temp directory, and the branch we're going to use. And our roles, which the vagrant box I've set up is just called PHPBelfast.dev, so all the code for this will be on GitHub. So we can set that up on in your host file, just to point to PHPBelfast.dev. And then the role is vagrant user at PHPBelfast. Right. The other thing is we're going to deploy the PHPBelfast framework, which Andy did a few months ago from GitHub. And see how that goes. Now, I mentioned before about setting up shell or SSH access. So we do need to set up a few SSH keys to get this all working, which I'm going to have a go at now. By default, you can use your own user. You can use your own SSH key that you probably have already, but I'm just going to generate one here for example's sake. I'm just going to call it demo key. And another, I won't bother with the password for this time, but you would set the password ideally. So that's that just with this demo key is our private key, and then the public key, which we're going to send to the server. So if I open this up, the public key, I'm going to copy this, and then go to the server, the vagrant box, and go to the user SSH folder, and add it to the authorized keys. So that means we can run the deploy command seamlessly without having to use passwords or anything, but the best practice is using password, I guess. But how do you cap reader deploy, it should be able to connect and pull down the code. Oh. So what's this? Nothing good. Couldn't clean up after the last download. Just no key that isn't called PHPBelfast out there that it's conflicting with. So hopefully this should work. And there is the deploy task running. So you can see now that it's going off to GitHub to get the code from the framework. So if we go to look at our, this is the folder, it's pulled down into the path we've specified, the PHPBelfast source code, and it's put into a web folder, and here we have our Git stuff that is that we mentioned before, and then in the releases, here's the timestamped folder with all the code that's on GitHub pulled down, and this is, you can't actually see there, but that is the symlink to Vagrant. There's a symlink to our folder, which should point us to the index page of the site now. And I go to, but at this point, there's a lot of files missing because there's a composer install needs to get run to pull down any vendor bundles that we need. And to do that, we're just going to, there's another gem. Capistrano composer, which will automatically run composer composer tasks for you as part of the deploy, but it does take a minute to install. I've already got it here. So I'm going to change this branch. So in my deploy, I've added a new task here. So whenever Capistrano runs, it runs a sequence of named tasks. There's like deploy, starting, deploy, publish, deploy, finishing, deploy, updated, and we can use them before and after. We can hook into these and run things alongside, run our own tasks alongside the default ones. So this is one that comes with that composer bundle to install the executable, which just pulls down the composer.far and sticks it in your shared folder. And one other thing we need to tell it is that in here we need to map this composer command to the far file that's pulled down. So now, whenever we run it, I just realized I did that wrong, sorry. But if I do it, now, you can see it's using curve to get the composer installer script and running it. And here's the composer install task that's being run, so it should be pulling down all the vendor requirements now and set those all up for us. We'll just put it back in the folder structure. Yeah, here's our latest timestamp. The vendor folder is in this one, it's not in the previous one. So all the dependencies have been installed now, and it was successful. So back here, and we're retrying this. It's not going to work because I need to restart PHP. That's the PHPBelfast framework pulled down from GitHub and installed onto our server just in one single command. We can write our own tasks as well. If you're familiar, if you've tried to install a PHPBelfast framework before, you'll know there's a seeder file for populating the database with some just dummy content so we can see things. If I go to that page now, post page, there's nothing there. There's no table because the seeder hasn't been run yet. But I can actually create a new task here, and it's really, really simple. This one is just a task called seed, so we'll call it with deploy :seed. It tells it on the web role, which is vagrant@belfast.dev, to run the seeder script with PHP. That's really all it is. So it's very, very flexible to write your own commands like that, and even basic ones like that. We're going to deploy seed. Signs in, runs a script for us, and that should give us some database content now. Not safe for work image there. Just a way of example that we can keep on that as many times as we want, and it will just call script again just to prove that it will change the content. What was the next thing? Yeah, the vendors folder, whenever you're pulling down vendors, you don't want to be hitting all the GitHub repos for proposal bundles or packages every single time whenever you've got them possibly already downloaded in a previous release. So just by way of example, this is a task that I wrote that will copy the vendors folder from the previous release and copy it to the current release. And then when you run Composer install, you're not downloading everything again. You're only downloading any changes that might be required from the Composer log file. So the deploy should run a lot quicker this time because it's not spending so long installing Composer stuff. Just going to copy the vendors file from the vendors folder from the previous release. And I realize that's not going to make any difference to the front end, but it's just a quicker deploy. And let's see what else. Task over looks. We have a comp. We really shouldn't, as best practice, we shouldn't be checking in database passwords and the like into our source controls. So we can also write a task for this to upload a config file locally. I created one here. I'm going to append it with the stage name. Obviously, you wouldn't check this in your source control at all, but this is because it's potentially sensitive information, passwords and the like. So this final task basically takes the stage you're on, looks for the config file, in this case database.php the stage name, which this time will be Vagrant. It uploads it to the shared folder if it's not already there, and then we have defined here a symlink for it. So every time we deploy the website, it'll symlink the database file to the database.php file to the one that's in our shared folder. Just database.php, that's the file that's come down from GitHub. So I'm going to run this other task, which should upload the on its own. Okay, so it's uploaded the database database.php.vagrant file as database.php, so that file should now be in the shared folder. If I run the full deploy again, the symlink should hopefully work. So it's created that symlink to the database file, which means you don't need to check in passwords and like in your source control. If they're already in the server, any developer can just run a deploy task and not have to worry about passwords or things like that getting deployed because they're already there. And that's pretty much it. So every time you run, that's all it takes is cap stage deploy. Once your all your tasks are set up, that's all you have to do to push your website to any server or to multiple servers, even. And that's kind of it. We have put the source code on GitHub if anybody wants to have a look at it. It's got the vagrant box, and there, so you can just spin that up and run the deploy script to see how it works and tinker with some of the tasks. They're really easy to write. I mean, I don't know anything about Ruby, but it's just a lot of configurations and variables, and I sort of knocked my way through it. Trial and error. So, good, done.
Tom, you see the way the configs for Capistrano are stored in a config folder there? Is there any way of customizing that?
Possibly, I don't know. I know it's a bit annoying because in certain frameworks you already have a config folder. Just like Symfony has a config folder that already has Symfony config stuff in as well. And I can't really look into that, to be honest, but I can find out. I'd guess I'd say probably something you can configure in your cat file where to create things. Config folder is just the default folder that it creates. I know it's a bit vague, a bit generic, but that's what it does.
It's kind of a...
It might even be a command line thing on a cap install.
Yeah, it actually says
possible.
What's in the Capistrano folder there? Just like a cat?
It does these metrics. I think you could, every time you do your first deploy, it'll ask you do you want to record statistics and things.
Okay.
I usually say no, but that's what's in the metrics.
Tom, there was, when you're creating all those time-stamped folders, there was a setting somewhere I thought I saw about where you could control the number of those.
Oh yeah, there is. And that is just another variable. If you look in here, obviously those deploys, you end up with loads of these folders that basically have the same thing in them over and over again. But if it's called, so just in here. Save that and run another deploy. It should. It'll just keep the last two timestamp folders and do a bit of housekeeping and clean up anything else. One, the last one you deployed, and a previous one. And the reason you keep two is because in deploy something that's wrong or incorrect, we can roll it back to the previous version by just run and deploy rollback.
Can
It zips up the latest folder into the gzip and restores the previous release as the current symlink. Yeah, now there's only one, there's the rollback release that's created. So it means your website, your website doesn't go down like your public-facing website is always there, it's always available, there's no broken files anywhere. So if you do make a mistake, you can just roll it back really easily.
A stupid question, Tom, then. Let's say I make a mistake, it's not working, and instead of rolling back, I try to fix it, deploy it again, and it's still not working. And if I roll back, I'm going to roll back to a broken version. Can you pick the timestamped folder to roll back to? Or do you know if that's possible?
I'm not honest to be sure. I'm not sure to be honest with you. Yeah, honestly, I don't know the answer to that. I'm afraid, but I'm sure you can. Just pick a timestamp as maybe a parameter, maybe, and roll it back. What's the other thing? Yeah, if your deployed tasks fail, Capistrano just bombs out and doesn't do anything. It tidies up what it's done and leaves your website as is. So there's no chance if one of your tasks fails, or say the service doesn't restart, the task fails, nothing happens. Your website is still live and in production and available to the public. So you don't have to worry about a task breaking mid-deploy and something going tragically wrong.
Tom, see the rollback task? I think you can customize that as you can with the deploy one. So if you had something like a project that needed database migrations or something, and then you roll back to a previous release, you could then add something in to also roll back your database migrations.
Yeah, I guess you can. There are loads of add-ons for different frameworks and the like, and it's not just for PHP or for Ruby, but there's add-ons for like Symfony and Laravel, and I know with the Symfony one, you can run doctrine migrations as part of your deploy, so you can actually make database changes. So imagine if you roll back, you can actually revert the doctrine migrations as part of that. It's probably maybe in the library, but it's probably easy enough to write a custom task to do it. You're just running a PHP console from the command line really to tell what doctrine file to use, or what migrations file to use.
Cool. Excellent.
All right.
Here's mine. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.